Hello and welcome to Chapter 6, Section 4. Here we start looking at percent of a number. We're actually going to find the exact percent. There's no more estimating. Estimate to make sure that you're right, granted, but I'm looking for exact numbers. So we're actually going to do a bunch of calculations now. So we're going to start with the basic straightforward percent of a number. And there are two ways to work this. And I need you to learn both ways. Eventually you get to stick with whatever version works best with you, but I need you to learn them both. Okay? The first one is based on an equation method. And what that means is that I need you to translate all the words in the equation to actual equation parts. We're translating it into math. Now, two things I need you to always remember. Of means multiply all the time. And is, even though you don't see it today, you will see it tomorrow, is means equals. If you can remember those two things, the rest of the equation is numbers. So, we're going to translate 67% of 90 into math. We're going to make 67% into a decimal. This is 0.67. Of means multiply all the time. Times 90, number. Look, it tells us how to do the math. Now it's straight multiplication. So I can sit here and say 0.67 times 90, 0, and I'm going to go straight to 9 times 7 is 63, 54, 60, and I got 1, 2, 1, 2. I have 60.3, and that is exactly what 67% of 90 is. Let's try another one. I'm asking for 145% of 210, so we're going to translate this into math first. I'm going to make this into a decimal. I'm going to move my imaginary decimal over 2 times. I'm going to say 1.45 of always means multiply, and I'm going to bring down my 210. Now it's a straight math problem. 1.45 times 210, and that's 145, and that 10, 8, 9, 3, 9, 2, that's a 2. 0, 5, 4, 10, 3 with 2 decimals, 2 decimals. This is 304.5. Now let me look at this for a minute just to make sure. I want 145% of 210. I want more than 210 because it's 100% plus almost half again. So almost half again would be 300. So this actually makes sense. So my answer is 304 and 5/10. Okay? Now, we're going to try that with proportions. With proportions, what I need you to understand is that we're always comparing things to hundredths. That's what percentages are. So I'm going to take my 30% and I'm going to make it into a fraction. And I'm going to say 30 over 100 is, and 80 is my whole, I want to find 30% of 80. I want to find little bits and pieces of 80. 80 is my big number. So 80 is my denominator, and I want to know what the little version is, and that's my x. Now, if you remember how to solve proportions, you know that these two multiplied together equals these two multiplied together. So I'm going to do 30 times 80 equals 100x. 3 times 8 is 24 with 2 zeros equals 100x. And I'm going to divide each side by 100. And I get x equals 24. Not too hard, is it? Let's try another one. 180% of 90. So this is the number that goes over 100. 180 over 100 times, and this is the whole, and I'm looking for the parts. So again, I'm going to cross multiply. 180 times 90 equals 100x. 9 times 8 is 72. 9 and 7 is 16 with 2 zeros equals 100x. So I'm going to divide each side by 100. And x equals 162. Not too shabby. Your turn. I've got 1 in the equation category, 8% of 50. And I've got 1 in the proportion category, 0.5% of 36. 0.5%. If I want to put this number over 100, well, it's a proportion. You can put 0.5 over 100 if you want, or you can put 5 over 1,000. You can multiply everything by 10 and make it so it doesn't have any decimals. That's entirely up to you. So, give this a minute, push pause, come back when you're done, okay? So, 8% of 50. I'm going to turn this into a decimal. This is 0.08 times 50. And 50 times 0.08 is 40 with two decimals. So this answer is 4. 0.5 over 100 times x over 36. So 36 times 0.5 equals 100x. Divide by 100. What is this? 36 times 0.5. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 3 is 15. 18 with 1 decimal. So that is 18 hundredths equals x. If 18 hundredths equals x, then 0.18 equals x, because this is 18 hundredths. Get it? And now we've got your practice. A few of each type of problem we just worked through so that you're comfortable with it. You can try it on your own, and you can come back to class with any questions tomorrow. So, first we get to find the exact percentage using proportions. What is 9% of 40? What is 36% of 48 using proportions? Then we're going to find them using equations. What is 5% of 12? What is 155% of 8? And then, what is the sale price of a pair of $12 flip-flops that are discounted 35%? So you're going to find 35% of $12, and then you're going to take that off the $12 price to figure out how much the flip-flops cost now. Okay? Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.